Right, so pretty credible source Jeff Poo gives us new details regarding the iPhone 15 Pro series, so let's delve into it. So I'll be honest guys, Jeff Poo's basically repeating information we already know about, but let this be a recap for you guys on the features to expect with the Pro models. So to begin with, Jeff says we could see a titanium frame with the iPhone 15 Pro series, and I'm very excited for this change because even a week ago I complained on Twitter about the weight of the 14 Pro Max. It's a very heavy device, it sometimes gets pretty cumbersome to use, and so titanium should drastically reduce the weight, and that's going to be very helpful for those who are going to get the Pro Max / Ultra. Also remember that titanium could allow for a matte finish on the sides, and that again is going to be a big improvement. I hate the glossy finish we have with stainless steel, so getting rid of that and going with titanium instead is going to be a big upgrade. Now the next thing to expect are haptic buttons. We should see 2 additional Taptic engines in the device to accommodate this feature, and yes, I'm aware many of you guys are actually against this feature, but personally I don't mind this change because we know how good Apple's haptics are, and they did this with the home button on the iPhone 7, and that perfectly replicated the feel of an actual home button. So yes, I think haptic buttons are going to be great, and it could improve the water resistance with the iPhones, which is a nice bonus. Now for those wondering, could this allow for a bigger battery since haptic buttons could take up less space? Well, that actually might not be the case, due to the fact we could see 2 additional haptic engines. Those components are going to take up space. Anyways, moving on to the RAM situation, we could see an upgrade from 6 gigs to 8 gigs of RAM for the 15 Pro series, and honestly I could care less about this. I rarely have RAM issues in the first place, but additional RAM could future-proof the device, and that's always appreciated. Now I do remember with the iPhone 14 rumor cycle there were reports regarding 8 gigs of RAM for 8K video support, and while that wasn't the case, maybe that's now the case with the iPhone 15 series. We know the bigger sensor can support 8K videos, so Apple could enable this due to the additional RAM in the device. Now Jeff also says, to no one's surprise, we should see the A17 chip in this. It should be based on TSMC's new 3nm process, which should increase the efficiency and the performance of the chip. And to accompany this, we should see the Type-C ports and also the Snapdragon X70 modem. Now interestingly, he says the regular models should also be getting this new modem, which is not what Apple did with the 14 series, only the Pros got the new modem inside, and so honestly I would not be surprised if that's the case for the 15 series. And by the way, Jeff does not tell us if the Pro models are getting a Thunderbolt port or not, he just says Type-C is coming to all 4 new iPhones. So yeah, there's that. Now Jeff also says the 15 Pro Max should feature a periscope lens that should increase the optical zoom on the iPhone, and interestingly he says nothing about the Ultra. He still says it's going to be the 15 Pro Max. So yeah, the Ultra name's definitely not confirmed, it might not materialize. And to be fair, Gurman more recently has told us the iPhone 16 series is getting an Ultra in the range, and so yeah, for the 15 series, the Pro Max moniker stays. Now Jeff finally ends the report by telling us demand for the 15 series won't be that strong because consumer spending has dropped in 2023, demand for new tech products is not going to be that high in the first place, and so I'm sure they're not going to be producing as many iPhone 15 models. And this low demand could be a benefit for us because if you're on the market for a new iPhone, Apple and their carriers could give us more aggressive deals. We often see trade-in discounts. Maybe the credit you get for older iPhones is going to be even more than it usually is, in which case I see that as a big win. Also, I'm kind of hoping that we do see low prices, particularly with the regular models. We already know the sales figures for the regular 14s aren't that great, and so a $50 to $100 discount for these could make a big difference. Now by the way, I thought I'd mention for those interested, front panels for the 15 series have leaked, and these don't show us anything new. They do confirm to us the bezels are going to be thin on the Pros, and the regular models are getting the island. And for those who want better LiDAR, that's also in the works for the 15 Pro series, though I could care less about that. I don't think I've ever used LiDAR on the iPhone, but yeah, that's an upgrade we can expect. Anyways, let's delve into your questions. So Michael says, I would love to see Thunderbolt on the 15 Ultra, and I think many consumers would because if you're going to use ProRes, transferring that footage over Lightning is going to be a pain, so of course, implementing Thunderbolt on the iPhone and making these transfers super quick would be appreciated. And yeah, it's a shame the iPad has ProRes and the Thunderbolt ports, but the cameras on that are a lot worse than the iPhone, so the iPhone should have Type-C on this, and considering these now forcing Apple to implement this, I think they will do it. So James N says, will haptic buttons work with the case? And I'm not sure about this, though worst case scenario, cases can just have cutouts on the sides of the device for the haptic buttons. So William says, I think Apple may get rid of the 14 Plus since no one is buying it. Instead they have the 15 by itself, and it would be in between the regular and plus size at around 6.4 inches. This would mean there is room for a model above the 15 Pro Max in the range, which would be the 15 Ultra. I also think regarding USB-C on the iPhone, they could possibly make it a Pro or even Ultra exclusive until the legislation comes into place. So regarding your first point, I think that yes, there is a chance the 14 Plus could be killed off. However, it seems that Apple does like to give new models another chance for survival, because we did see the 13 mini get released, even though the 12 mini was a massive flop. And so considering we have heard about the 15 Plus, I do think it's going to stay around for another year, but of course, your idea of one regular model being 6.4 inches, essentially what Apple's doing with the iPhone 11 and 10R, would be perfect. I think that makes a ton of sense. There should only really be one regular size, so I'm down for that change. However, regarding the idea of there being 3 Pro models, I think that would be too convoluted. I don't think we need a Pro Max and an Ultra in the range, since most wanting the bigger size also want the best features, and so replace the Pro Max with the Ultra. Since if anything, Apple has probably now learnt that hey, we don't need as many iPhone models in the range, just offer a basic regular size and then 2 Pro models, and that would be more than fine for most consumers. We don't need another size option. So Garrett says, make a Mini Pro, Regular Pro, and Max Pro. Now I know many want a Mini Pro, but I don't think that's gonna happen because number one, the Mini wasn't a very popular device in the first place, and that was due to the high price. And so having a Mini Pro variant that could be upwards of $1,000 is definitely going to put many consumers off. But also to remember, physics-wise, you are not going to fit a triple lens camera bump on the Mini form factor without drastically reducing the battery size, and battery life was one of the biggest issues with the 12 and 13 Mini, so of course, making that battery even smaller to give us Pro features is kinda useless. Anyways, that's about it guys, but tell me your thoughts regarding this report in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the link above on details regarding new HomePods, and on that note, see ya peeps.